We have to look at intangibles at this point in time and understand which ones get capitalized, which ones get expensed. Are the intangibles going to ultimately be amortizable? So certain items don't qualify. They get expensed, like research and development, right? That gets expensed immediately. Startup expenses get expensed immediately. But if it's an intangible that should be capitalized, then we have the second question. Does it have a finite life or an indefinite life? Let's take a look at some illustrations of this. When we're talking about intangibles, we're talking about things like patents, copyrights, trademarks, goodwill, and franchises. What do all of them have in common? Well, they lack physical substance, but they do provide for future economic benefit. The definition of an intangible, such as patents, are rights to use, make, and sell product. Copyrights are the right to produce and sell a published work. Trademarks are the right to display a word, a symbol that identifies the company or its product. And goodwill occurs when one company purchases another company for more than the fair value of the net assets. Franchises, of course, are the right to do business in a certain geographic area. How intangible assets are recorded at acquisition? Well, we have a whole bunch of items. They're going to be recorded at the cost of acquiring them. And of course, we have to make sure we understand, is it a finite lived asset like a patent, a copyright, or a franchise? Or is it an indefinite lived asset like a trademark or goodwill? Remember, trademarks and goodwill, since they're indefinite lived, they will be subject to the opportunity to use step 0, the qualitative test. And if not, then they go straight to step 2. And of course, they're always subject to impairment. Classification of intangibles depends upon whether the economic life can be determined or is indeterminable. What are the economic lives of the 3 finite assets? Well, a patent generally has a 20-year life. A copyright, generally, the lives are creator plus 70 years. And a franchise life is defined by the contract. Also, I'd like you to note, as this goes on, the intangible assets that do not have finite lives, generally trademarks, are considered to have an indefinite life. By the way, that doesn't mean forever. That just means for the foreseeable future, since they can be renewed and for indefinite number of 10-year periods. Goodwill has no useful life or useful or legal life, and thus always is an indefinite life asset. One last item here to discuss, and that is that intangible assets with a finite life are amortized, similar to the concept of depreciation, over the lesser of the useful life or the legal life. Straight line amortization is applied unless another method is more appropriate. Indefinite lived assets are not amortized. They are only subject to an impairment test. But all assets, regardless of finite or indefinite life, are evaluated for impairment at least once a year on an annual basis.